Hello, it is another episode of Write Once, Read Many. This time we're covering 19.z, or just the final interlude in Arc 19. What do you have to say for yourself, Vic?
I want to say something about the art, but I was waiting for the video to pop up so I could look at it. Let's see. There we go. This. So I couldn't come up with any ideas for this. This is supposed to be like a 80s mall glamour shot. Well, I guess not 80s, but anywhere to 80s to 00s. Because I think glamour shots are so funny. But I don't know if I pulled it off or not and made it look like a glamour shot. But we're going for a classic. She thinks she's a fucking model. Whatever.
She is in their catalog, so...
Yeah.
She's one of those literal models.
Yeah, but
I thought they put a
don't
little
know.
too much gauze on the lens, maybe.
Hi, Bill. Hi, Greg.
Hello. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Vale. I thought there was more time. Well, as a, audience participation reminder, since Vale has prompted us, it's what would Emma's power be if she had triggered during her interlude? And I wrote 2 small answers, so, we have that
As
to look
always,
forward
my
to.
answer is always the same as Vale's, so.
Good. So, yeah, do we want to talk? There's like a lot of themes in this that sort of fit the rest of the book. Like, this is like core bullying. Like it's Emma's
This is bullying
damn
101.
origin story. Yeah. I don't know. This might be an advanced course. Like,
yeah, that's true. They do some pretty... The way that she thinks about the bullying is crazy. But we've got bullying, we've got like basically this whole dynamic that Emma and Sophia see of victim. They always say victim versus survivor, but it really is a victim versus perpetrator dynamic.
yeah, and she always, like, they keep saying to themselves, oh, she stood up to us or whatever, but it's literally like she did say, like, fuck you in the first time that they were bullying her in the
she
summer.
like immediately stood up to them. She was like you suck. I don't know. They want her to stand up. Like, I guess they just want her to be popular and aggressive like they are. So I don't know. It's like there's like a lot of hypocrisy and like cognitive dissonance, like self-inflicted to some extent. I don't know. It's like the main thing is like pushing what comes naturally to the back of your mind in preference to some other philosophy, which I feel like usually you see that in context of like following the like believing in the government or following the law or like following a religion or this or that. But in Emma's case, it's just she just hears one thing Sophia says, like one loses her mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't, neither of the powers I made are sort of based around this, but I thought a good power for her, I just didn't know how to express this, would be something where, like, she is, like, mentally far away from what she is, like, doing. Like in some way, like maybe like the Othello power, where Othello exists in like an alternate world as well as our own world and can kind of swap places with the the other one, and then I don't know. His power is like really strange and sort of feels like the kind of weird mind gymnastics that Emma's doing here. So
Mhm.
yeah, something like
Yeah.
Othello's power would also make sense to me. But
Yeah.
oh, 2 + 4 times 5 is here saying, I hate this chapter so much.
Oh, what, you hate it? Oh,
It's
I
so
love this chapter.
I like this chapter, but it's funny because I did think of the specific We've Got Worm thing uh where Michael had wait. It's Scott and oh my god, I'm the worst. The host who is not Scott, who I
Hmm.
will hopefully remember the name of for real.
I think it's Matt and Scott.
Matt. Okay, so yeah, Matt. His opinion is he said, "We've read a lot of heinous shit in this book, but this is the first chapter that I didn't want to cover on it." Something like that. It was really
That's so
funny.
funny.
Yeah. And I get it cuz
Don't
like
worry.
the alleyway scene
I'm
is
gonna
like
be on the
weird and uncomfortable. Like it's the some of the most like ugh.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna be pro Emma this chapter, but like we're not pro Emma, okay? But sometimes you have to play the part for the chapter, okay?
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. I think that's all I have for themes. A lot of cognitive dissonance, like
Yeah.
subscribing yourself to a philosophy just because like it's easier to live that way. Bullying. I don't know what to say about the dynamic between Emma and Sophia. Like maybe there's something like, like specifically going on there, like, like enabling or codependence or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. Toxic dynamic.
Yeah, like super toxic friendship that I mean it kind of seems like Sophia just also hates Emma and like do you know what I mean? Like all the time
Yeah,
like she's
she's
kind of
really mean to
conspiring with
her.
her, but she's also like I don't give a fuck what you have to say to me. Like all
Hmm.
I don't know. There's just like always this air that like Emma is following Sophia around and that as much as Sophia's like, you're in the cool kids club, she's also like, you're such a fucking idiot.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah. Anyway, we can move on to the main chapter thingy.
Greg said, "I'm not pro Emma, dot dot dot,
But
but
yeah, see you're about to say
um
something that's gonna get you canceled.
I'm gonna say all kinds of stuff that's gonna get me canceled. This is my Okay, so we start out the chapter. Emma and her dad are in the car arguing about whether to move or not. Um, which is like it's obviously not a real argument because like she's a child and he's the adult kind of thing. But Emma thinks Brockton Bay just sucks and it's totally falling apart. But her dad says it's not that bad and that he hates moving. Very reasonable. Oh my
His
God, I
whole
would do
speech
anything not
is
to
such
move.
a Wildbowism, to be honest. It's a little like
Yeah,
I've got a list of 3 things that I'm going to tell you.
I know. And then he like he's like, I don't like folding socks or something weird like that. It's
Yeah.
like that cannot be in the same bucket as you don't like moving. Um,
He said
so
matching socks and ironing. I think are the two. What odd specific picks? But
yeah.
I guess
So Emma starts.
there are a few
I,
times in the story when the wild bonus shows through just a little too much. Like I think of the times when Pigot will mentally categorize people into like 5 buckets or whatever, and it's just like this
Mhm.
is too specific. Anyway.
I don't know. I get it. Um, So Emma starts an anecdote about this some cool model friend that she knows, but unfortunately is interrupted by a phone call from her loser non-model friend Taylor. And Taylor immediately starts excitedly blabbing about everything that's been going on at summer camp. And Emma's kind of glad that Taylor's attitude is starting to bounce back after her mom died a year ago. And I have a quote here.
It hadn't been easy, Emma mused, as Taylor yammered on. Sometimes she'd call, they'd do their customary hanging out, and she'd feel like the time was wasted. Afternoons and weekends spent with her best friend that she didn't enjoy. I kind of feel
That,
like even before she's attacked, like we have this very brief glimpse at her, but she seems to already have this weird like dual mindset, like where she's
mhm.
like very far away from her actions.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So while Taylor keeps up on this one-way conversation, Emma and her dad notice that something is going on near them. At the end of the side street they're on, they're being blocked by a dumpster that's been put there, and there's some loitering ABB members, like approaching them from behind. So Emma hangs up on Taylor, and her dad starts trying to like push the dumpster with their car, but it doesn't move. And Emma thinks that like there must be like cement blocks blocking it, or like they took the wheels off or something. So the car is cornered by the ABB members, and Emma's dad yells for Emma to call the police, but she's panicking and she like can't dial it right. She's just like pressing. She's like 19. Wait, no, 919. No.
I mean, it would be
um,
easier if it weren't for these damn touchscreens.
Yeah. Her window gets shattered and a member's like grabs her by the hair and was like trying to drag her out of her seat. But she's buckled in, so they're basically just like yanking her whole body up by her hair right now. And they tussle, and eventually Emma's just so overwhelmed that she unbuckles her seatbelt, and then two of the ABB members pull her out through the window. And she's just kind of like from here on, I mean, she kind of does before, but she's just having like weird, delirious, like mismatched thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, thinks to herself, she's like, man, it's so weird that I'm super calm, but like, she's not super calm. She's like, her body's like totally freaking out right now. Um, and one of the members, like kicks her so that she
I
turns
didn't
over, and
double
they
check this,
take
but
her
I'm
jean
pretty sure
jacket.
the girl who's kicking her here is the girl who Taylor let join her gang.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be her. And they call her Yon in this chapter, but then I like couldn't find if Taylor ever like refers to her by a name, or she hears like other people call her a name or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I can only assume, because there's no way there could be another Asian girl with a nose ring in this town. I feel like they wouldn't have mentioned the nose ring
Yeah,
unless it was
I
the
feel
same
like it's
person.
supposed to be the through line of the two things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So so they take her jean jacket off of her and they give it to one of the younger girl members, which is maybe the girl that joins Taylor's crew, before she gets in trouble with her and gets kicked out of town. So they start looking through the car's glove compartment, and Emma's reminded that she was trying to dial 911, but she can't remember if she managed to hit the call button before she dropped the phone. Um, and then somebody, like, she's still laying face down, so somebody pulls her head up by a portion of her hair and then cuts it, so her face slams back down into the ground. And then she's like, not the face, anything but the face, which just obviously encourages them. And I have a quote here.
Then it's the face after all. Hold her. 10 minutes ago, she'd never been afraid. Not really. Stage fright, sure. Fear of not getting the Christmas present she wanted, sure. But she'd never been afraid. And before the one eyed thug spoke that last sentence, she'd never known terror.
So, the ABB member with one eye, he's got like one eye covered with a bandana or something, helps to hold her head to the ground, and he's like pointing at each of her facial features one at a time with his blade. And he's like, which will it be? But Emma like can't process at all what's happening. So he explains that she gets to choose one eye, one nose, one mouth, or both ears. Um,
Oh yeah,
And
it's definitely Yan. Sorry, I just opened up the 14 chapter where it's Yan, Sugita, and Jay are the three.
yes, okay, yeah. So he explains that Yon is going to just quote unquote go to town on one of her facial features to kind of prove herself as one of the gang members. So Emily, jeez. Emma suddenly sees a figure in black on top of their car in what looks like a hockey mask, and she's like mentally willing her to help her, but they're just kind of sitting there watching. So Jan shoves Emma's hair into her mouth, which is gross. And William said this will be one of her trigger events.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. And she's like freaking out before, and but then this like makes her think of Taylor, and then she like thinks about becoming how Taylor did after her mom died, and this just sends her into full panic mode, and she starts fighting back, and she's like thrashing and screaming. She manages to do a number on the one-eyed guy, Lau, before the dark cloaked figure on the car decides to jump in and help. Finally, Jesus.
Mhm.
Um, so this person dislocates Jan's arm, then slowly approaches Lau and slashes his good eye. Kind of fucked up. And Emma looks around to find that she's taken out most of the other members. They're just like unconscious and bleeding all around them. Um, so the cape pins the last guy to a door with classic knife through hand technique. We definitely get like at least one knife through hand technique in each arc.
Yeah, yeah. I and
It's one of our
this one's
favorites.
another pretty like fucked up one in like it's not so bad I guess, but she breaks off the handle from the knife blade after she stabs it through his hand.
Oh, dear God. Um,
So like he'd have to
and then
grab the little spike to try pulling it with almost no
yeah,
leverage.
they'd probably have to call the cops or something. Um, so yeah, she stabs him to a door, and then she changes to her shadow form, ooh, before disappearing into the night. Oh my gosh. Um, I wonder who that could be.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
I was trying to like
So
imagine myself reading this chapter completely devoid of context and then like not knowing this is a superhero setting before this situation happens. So,
yeah. Well, yeah, I guess you would be reading it, but like Emma doesn't really react to the fact that the cape's using powers or whatever, so I feel like it'd be a little bit off-putting or something if you didn't know.
yeah.
Um, but after the tragedy, Emma has become her worst fear, a Taylor-like husk of herself. The like amount of times that she's like, "Oh God, I'm like
I'm
Taylor."
Taylor. Yeah.
Vale said, surprising there isn't a fighter named Handmaster. Though, as I say that, it isn't actually surprising. Um, yeah, she's just like moping around and being like, oh my God, I'm just like Taylor. She tore off all the posters from her bedroom walls, and she's like seemingly not even talking, like when her family talks to her. Her sister's trying to like encourage her to take a shower, so it's probably like been some amount of time and she's not taking care of herself. Um, and when Taylor inevitably calls from summer camp, it just like takes her back to those final moments of Taylor talking to her on the phone before the tragedy. So she's refusing all her calls, and she tells her mom to not explain the situation to Taylor, which again, you're the parents. As a parent, I would not just listen to my teenage daughter in this situation. I mean, I know you're trying to be respectful, but I'd be like, I'm just gonna call Danny and like tell him that like something really traumatic happened, and like to tell Taylor to like chill or whatever.
Mhm.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you just have to be an adult.
Yeah. I don't think that they're like especially good parents. Like
Yeah, I think they
they're
just give
not the
them like too
worst,
much
but
free reign though.
they don't really do They don't do enough.
They don't do enough to like protect their children. I mean, like obviously the whole situation that happened wasn't her dad's fault or whatever. But then like afterwards, he knows that this vigilante is sus as fuck and that like he knows Sophia's secret identity and he's taking Emma like to help her medically in these like emergency situations. She committed manslaughter in front of Emma.
Yeah.
And like at no point are they like, let's just have some boundaries. Like let's have some rules or anything. Um Oh my God. Vil said Little Taylor is about to start her crash course in villainy. 101, trauma. 102, abandonment. Emma signed her up for the course. Yeah, Jesus.
Did you read
Anyways,
this other
I just am
thing?
unhappy.
Surprising there
Go
isn't a
ahead.
fighter named Handmaster, though, as I say.
Yeah, I read that.
Okay, sorry. I must have missed it. Hmm.
You mean hands, master.
Yeah.
And they just stab knives through hands.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just disappointed in Emma's parents. It's like they've been like seemingly like family friends or whatever. Just fucking talk to Danny a little bit. You don't need to be specific. Be like, Emma's going through it right now and she needs some space from her clingy ass friend Taylor.
So
Um,
sad.
Greg said, let's be honest, Wildbow is sparse on excellent parents.
It's true.
Um, I don't know. Danny's the best parent, even though he didn't do
Is
a
he?
great job. He's the best parent. He he tries very hard. Um, sometime later, her dad, he's like trying to be supportive and gives her a therapist number. But it turns out he's giving this to her because the whole family is going to be out of the house and Emma's going to be home alone. And he's worried that she's going to do something. And it just triggers Emma and she doesn't reply to anything he says. So he and the family heads out. And after they all leave, Emma starts preparing some coffee and cereal, but then just interrupts herself and decides to go take a shower. Vale said, Armsmaster changes to Defiant? No, he insists on Handsmaster. PR redacts the paperwork and forces through Defiant anyway. An ironic subversion of the name. Handsmaster.
You know what? Handsmaster would be like if you made a combo cape between Cradle and Armsmaster.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would
It could be
definitely be
good.
Handsmaster. And it'd
Yeah.
be very powerful, I think.
Cradle could have named himself a Handsmaster.
It's true. And he should have.
Cradle's kind of a crazy name for him.
I think part of why he did it is because it hides his power. It doesn't give
Mm-hmm.
away very much.
Mm-hmm. It also evokes, I'm just a little baby. I'm just a little guy.
He's just a little guy, and it's his birthday. So, have you
And
considered
I
that?
totally believed it. I totally believed it too. He's just a little guy and it's his birthday.
Oh,
Um,
man. It wasn't even his
so
birthday.
So after she showers, she gets dressed and heads outside, and she's like losing it. Like she's not doing well. Like every step she takes is just like this emotional and physical battle. Um, and she feels like people are just watching and judging her from everywhere. And I have a quote here.
So the quote is, as much as she tried to tell herself that she wasn't in the middle of a giant spotlight, that people didn't care, she couldn't shake the idea that they were watching her, analyzing her every move, noting her wet hair, noting the hunk of hair at the back that was shorter than the rest, crudely chopped off. Were they seeing her as a victim? Someone so full of fear and anxiety that her every movement practically screamed, easy target?
So Emma arrives at the alleyway where she'd been attacked, and she's desperate to find the cloaked vigilante that saved her. She stays for some time, seemingly several hours, and she's just ruminating on all of the like horrible things she's thinking and feeling. She failed at not becoming like Taylor. Even despite the fact that she fought back and she's kind of like, oh, I'm so stupid for thinking that that would help and this and that. But then somebody behind her says, takes guts. And she wheels around to find her vigilante out of costume and standing behind her. Oh my gosh. Vale said, nobody will ever suspect I'm the same person. My armor is now green, and my halberd is 2 inches shorter.
Hey, instead of wielding a halberd, I wield a spear. It's totally different. They are not
And
similar.
everybody knew Armsmaster hated spears. They'll never know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so Emma asks, oh, sorry. So yeah, Emma asks what she'd hoped to ask the vigilante when she came here. Why did you wait when you saw me in trouble?
It's like
Um,
it's like the first time Sophia ever meets Emma, she's pre-bullying her by leaving her to.
And the girl says that there's 2 types of people in this world, those who get stronger from crisis and those who get weaker. And she had wanted to see which side Emma fell on before she did anything. And Sophia says that you can look at the world as binaries, and Emma needs to keep in mind whether she falls in survivor or victim. Um, and this conversation just like pulls Emma out of it. Weeks later, she's like faking it till she makes it very intentionally. And she is gonna go hang out with her new best friend Sophia. But her mom mentions that Taylor might be dropping by because she is back from camp today. So Emma stops in the hallway mirror to feel weird feelings about her hair because she had to get it all cut off to match her the ABB cut. Um, and then she heads outside to meet up with Sophia, and Taylor's already like walking up the street. And I have a quote here.
She looks like she did. She looks like she did years ago, way before her mom died. Like she's 9, not 13. Who the fuck is that? Sophia murmured. Emma didn't reply. She watched as Taylor approached the gate at the front of the house, walked up the path to the stairs where she and Sophia stood. Emma, who the fuck are you? Sophia asked. I like her having a
Sophia,
weird cadence because she's just being so mean.
Sophia's just the worst.
Yeah.
Like, it's like there's like being mean, but then like Sophia's just always on a 10. Like, she's like so shocked that I mean part of it in like my opinion is like jealousy or whatever. Like this like cool girl that she met has like this little dweeb friend coming or whatever. It puts her like on the same level as her and stuff. But whatever. Taylor's like, anyways, what's going on, Emma? And Emma just silently mulls over her options while Taylor compliments her new hair. And Emma's like feeling Sophia's judgment aimed towards her. Like Sophia's like side-eyeing her every time Taylor says something. So she approaches Taylor and tells her that she didn't ask her to come over. Taylor says that she was just excited to see her since they haven't talked in weeks. And Emma tells her that this was all just an excuse for her to cut off their friendship. Like it's been a long time coming. Um,
It's like really
v-
fucked up the way she does it too. It's like
it's really bad. Um, Vale said, next thing you know, Emma and Taylor will want Sophia to join a book club or play D&D or something. Not happening. So yeah, Taylor is just like stunned because I mean, there's no other reaction you could have to this. She's like, what? And Emma just lets loose and tells her how much it sucked being her friend and that she was already planning on cutting things off before her mom died. But then when her mom, quote unquote, kicked the bucket, she had to put it off. And this like on the audience side of things, this is like obviously just bullshit or whatever, but I don't know, Emma's convinced herself. And Taylor
I
gives
know
her
that
a
this is like
fuck you.
performative mean, but man, she's so fucking mean.
She's really good at performing mean. Like, it's because she has like all these background mean thoughts and she just kind of like lets them live on the surface now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. Calling her bonsai and kicking the bucket like in this context is so bad. Um so yeah, Taylor's like, "Fuck you, Emma," and she turns to leave, and Sophia sticks her foot out and trips her. Taylor runs off, and Sophia asks Emma if she feels better, which Emma can't exactly confirm or deny. So, Emma and Sophia are inseparable now. Emma provides Shadow Stalker emergency first care, and Sophia helps on Emma's bullying campaign against Taylor. It's a perfect relationship.
It's
Um,
so like Emma seems so like dead-eyed between things. It's
yeah.
like she's got her inner life is so like removed from the way she presents herself. It's bonkers.
It's real
Not to
bad.
say
Um,
that I think that it because sometimes people will be like, oh, if you only knew their inner thoughts, then something. It's like no, it's like almost worse. I don't know.
it's worse because it's not like, I don't know, because she does know better.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, their newest quote unquote prank was stealing Taylor's dead mom's flute from her locker at school. And I have a quote here.
If you've decided you hate me, if I said the wrong thing or led you to believe something that wasn't true, okay. But don't do that to my mom. She was good to you. Don't disrespect her memory. If it was so valuable to you, you shouldn't have brought it. Taylor didn't speak for long seconds. Can you blame me? Since school started, you've been after me. As if you're trying to make a point or something. Except I don't know what it is.
So
She
Emma
has like
tells
all these
Taylor that
moments where she can articulate like things like Taylor prompts for a response the kinds of like explanations and she just never gives her anything. She
no, she
sucks.
always will like answer the wrong questions in like a weird way. Like when you read their dialogue back and forth, it's like Emma is like never really responding to Taylor directly. She's just like saying something else mean on top of it.
Yeah,
Um, and speaking of, she's like, well, it doesn't seem like your mom is offering you any support in this situation. And
yeah.
then she like basks in the aftermath of her words and then specifically says, I don't enjoy it or anything. But she like
Well,
tries to she
I don't think that that's like untrue. I don't think that she has some deep enjoyment. I mean maybe she does, but it feels more like it's almost sicker the other way. You know what I mean?
I
It's
mean, I think that she feels the enjoyment of reinforcing this thing that she feels.
mm,
Like, I don't think she like enjoys bullying Taylor specifically, but she's like, ah, yes, everyone in their place. I'm powerful.
yeah.
And the way that she says this in like, let me see. Um, she says, Emma Emma had mused back in the weeks she'd been reeling from the near miss with death or disfigurement that there were moments that changed destinies, that altered people's trajectories in life. Some were small, the changes minor, other large to the point they were irreversible. It was so easy just to utter the words, and the reaction was so profound. A mixture of emotions that briefly stripped Taylor bare, revealing everything in a series of changing facial expressions. She didn't enjoy it. Like to me, it's like if you're feeling that so strongly, then that is her like reveling in it. But
Mm-hmm.
that's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I just kind of think it's like it's like a weird like a huge dissonance between what it would seem like she's reveling in or enjoying based on how she like puts her face together and like the
Mhm.
expression she does and then like this insane convoluted logic which like makes sense if you already have all this other context but like is so far removed from what's happening or like the reality of the situation.
Yeah. Vale said, friendships are important in Worm. Imagine a character who is traumatized and not honest. Thankfully, we have Taylor. Yeah. um, yeah, so she's like thinking about the predator and prey stuff, and she's like, ooh, yeah, like everyone's in their proper place. And it turns out that Emma didn't even know that Sophia stole Taylor's flute from the locker. But to give it back would be to show weakness and mess up their flow. So instead, she tells Sophia to wreck it so that it can never be used again.
Yeah, she says to do something disgusting, I think is.
Yeah, she says to do just something disgusting and then wreck it so that it can't be used.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's crazy. Um, Emma's dad ends up representing Shadowstalker in court for manslaughter that she committed while on patrol.
Mm.
And this was a manslaughter that Emma herself witnessed. Crazy. He manages to get her probationary wards membership instead of prison, but Shadowstalker's like pretty angry about losing her freedom. And Emma is like trying to be supportive, and she's like, "You should just fake it till you make it." And Sophia doesn't subscribe to her own philosophy.
Well, you know how like she's pre-done with Taylor before she knows she's done with Taylor, and it's like
Mhm.
in the very first conversation on the phone, it feels like she's pre-done with Sophia even way back at this point.
Yeah, I agree. Um,
She,
yeah,
she
so
like
like
once Sophia like rejects what she's saying like twice, she's just like, what the fuck ever, Sophia. Yeah.
yeah, like you suck kind of. Um, yeah, so things didn't go the greatest with Shadowstalker in the wards. She did not do a good job at faking it till she made it, and subsequently is currently in prison. So Emma goes there to visit her, and Sophia's being like pretty hostile. And Emma tells her they're moving back to Brockton Bay after being in Portland for all of the post-Leviathan nonsense. And she describes that they're moving to the North End, which is actually nicer now than the previously nice places, since those places are all destroyed. And she talks about how the villains run the city now. And Sophia's like, I really don't care about any of this. And the world is ending in 2 years. But Emma just ignores her and talks about the portals. And I have a quote here.
So it's like all this hope. You've got Brockton Bay at the center of it all. And at the center of Brockton Bay's hope, it's Arcadia High. In the center of that, you've got the heroes and the winners. I fully intend to be the latter. In a way, it's like being the queen of the world. That the popular kid in high school? In the high school, Emma said. She shrugged. It's one way of looking at it. It's like
So, so
insane because it's one way of looking at it would be like a comeback that I would say to that. As like, you're an idiot. I don't know.
I think she's trying to be like reinforced, like I create my own perspective on things and you're just wallowing, basically. Um,
I really
yeah, Sophia
manifest, and you just manifested yourself all the way into prison. So
Sophia says she's still missing a key detail, but that Emma will figure it out on her own. What is she talking about? Do you know what she's talking about here? Is it just that the world's ending?
well, I don't think it's that. I think it's like I think she's I mean to quote Lord of the Rings saying you have no power here. Because I
Yeah,
think that she thinks that Emma won't be able to win the people over in the
without her.
well, not only without her, but in the rebuilt like I think that she suspects something like what happens, which is that these kids who did stay like almost
Are
unilaterally
too
side
tough.
against Emma and like just hate her on principle.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
and maybe she could overcome that, and maybe she does become popular or something. But so I'm not sure exactly what Sophia's referring to, but I think the
I think that
downfall
sounds
of
right.
the okay,
That it's probably the fact that Emma is on like the loser side of things now in the binary because she
hmm
was not a survivor. She like left the city.
yeah, they didn't
Um,
even go to the
and
close
that
Portland. They went to the one in Oregon.
Um, so Emma heads out and she realizes that she's gonna have to drop Sophia as a friend. She's like, she's no better than Taylor. She's always thinking about Taylor. So,
Literally, no one's better
while
than Taylor. Everyone can get fucked.
while Emma and her family are driving to their new place in Brockton Bay, Emma asks her dad to swing by Taylor's house so she can see it. And as they go down the street, she can actually see Taylor and her dad are unloading a nice shiny car while they're passing. And she sees Taylor laugh at something, and is like startled at her having a positive emotion. And even more so, she's startled when Taylor's eyes follow the car as they pass.
Oh
She's
no, Taylor's hot.
yeah. So Taylor's looking hotter than ever. She's got a tan, she's got her arms out, and she has a knife sheathed at her
She's
back.
got her stomach out
And
even.
yeah, and Emma realizes that while she left Brockton Bay, Taylor had stayed and been a survivor. Dot dot dot.
You got
Taylor's
owned.
cool. Oh no, she's hot.
Mm-hmm. I did
And that's the
wanna
chapter.
I did want to say from earlier, I was looking at the line where she's saying to destroy the flute, and right after she says do something disgusting to it and make sure to wreck it so she can't ever use it again, then Sophia smiles. And I guess Sophia is my example of someone who, in a more straightforward way, I think someone could figure out Sophia's like mental process where I think it would be very difficult to figure out what the hell Emma's thinking
Yeah,
because it's so
yeah, I agree.
convoluted.
Hmm. Yeah, Sophia just likes to like hurt people. But Emma's is more, definitely more like weird and specific, and it doesn't even follow her own shit.
Yeah, it's totally inconsistent. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah. Anyway.
the
Um.
dichotomy of it all. Okay, what do we have to say about this chapter? Phil said
Uh.
they hate this. Is that was it Vale who said? Oh, it was 2 plus 4 times 5 that said they hate this chapter. I can only assume that you hate it because like you hate Emma, not that like it's a bad chapter.
And I think that it would make sense to me if uh, it's just like the scene in the alley is so like visceral, and I don't know. I think that I'm not alone in that it weirdly hits harder than some of the like weird disgusting power stuff we've seen.
Yeah, I feel like it was I don't know what it is. I mean, it's like she is a mortal. Like she's like uniquely vulnerable that in a way that we haven't seen in a lot of our interviews yet. I'm trying to
And
think
like
of all of
even non-powered people like Pigo's a fucking badass. Like Pigo's not
yeah,
like some fucking she in this predator prey dynamic, she's a predator. Uh
yeah. Like this is distinctly a teenage girl getting attacked, and then there's like several mentions of like prostitution or like forcing trafficking and
well,
stuff
it's
like that.
also
Like
like clear from what they're saying that like and we've known that they have like prostitutes and stuff, but I think it's another level when they're like kidnapping and sex trafficking teenagers. Like that is
yeah.
a level that like we could have guessed the ABB was on, but we were never
Hmm.
told previously. Like there were moments where Taylor was like skeeved out by the idea that there might be human trafficking going on, but it
Hmm.
like this is just like it is happening.
Yeah, they like said they're like, oh, we'll take her to one of the farms or whatever, which like
Yeah.
is presumably like where the trafficking is like happening. Yeah, so it's just like very realistic. And the people who are attacking her also don't have powers, and so it's just like very close to reality.
And the
And
way
it's
that her
like
dad is like
her
not that
dad
he's
there
like
like yelling in
completely
the
useless.
background.
Like I don't expect there's a lot that you could do to get out of the situation, but he comes off as like more so than an average person, like incapable of dealing with the situation.
Yeah, he's just like vulnerable in the situation, which just makes it worse. Yeah, so I agree. Like I felt like when I was writing some of it, I was like, ugh. Um, just like going over it all in detail. I think that's what it is. It's just like it's like very realistic, and hits really close to home, like in
It
our
could
reality.
also, like, not to speak for 2 plus 4 times 5 per se, but since we're not getting a confirmation on anything, it could be that some of the bullying in the second half of the chapter is just like, I mean, it's like we said, like, it's pretty fucked up the way she, like, dismisses Taylor. Like, even for
It's
being
really bad.
mean, it's like she is
She's
she's a heavy hitter for teenage girl meanness.
I feel like a lot of the time, what it's not that I see bullying like depicted in this way a lot, but this is like what I imagine, where a lot of the time it's like for the bullies, they're feeling like it's not that serious and they're like just goofing off and like teasing or whatever.
Right.
And
And I think that
then
that's
it just
more
like
common than stuff like
yeah,
this that's as
and
directed.
that's easier to be like, okay, like you just have like a poor perspective on things or whatever. But Emma's like, oh, I love these little moments where I get to make her life specifically worse.
Yeah,
And then
and like to be confronted and asked like I don't understand what you're doing, like I don't understand what the point is you're trying to make, like, and then to just double down. It she's given every opportunity to like take another course. She could back down at any time, but she just
mhm,
ramps herself up more and more and more.
yeah,
And
it's
and
pretty
another thing
bad.
is I don't think it's just Sophia. Like I think Sophia is a crutch for her argument that like about herself. You know what I'm saying? Like where she can fall back on the idea that she was doing it because of Sophia, but that's not
Mhm,
really the truth. She got her like initial inspiration from Sophia, but if Sophia had
mhm.
moved away, I think she would have just kept doing the same things to Taylor
Yeah,
anyway.
and she's definitely like still planning on doing on like being herself, more of herself. 'Cause she's like at the end of this she's like, "Man, I'm gonna have to drop Sophia." But like there's no like, "Oh, well like what am I gonna do with myself or this or that." She's just gonna move on and like
Yeah, like she's
keep
just
up her.
her plan is to continue acting the way she did toward Taylor, even if she's not in a
Yeah.
situation where Taylor's there. It's like totally fucked. It's just like, oh, I mean, I could use this opportunity to reinvent myself since none of my old
Yeah,
friends
new
are going to be here.
school. Yep, new school and Sophia's not gonna be there, so
And
it's
like,
not like the
Taylor's
like
also not going
emotional
to be there.
pressure. Yeah, but she's gonna keep it up. Um, yeah. Anything else? I feel like
I'm
this
going to
chapter is
find a
really
little
good. Like
redheaded
Emma's
kid
voice
who
is really
seems like he wants
distinct.
more time, and I'm going to
Oh my
relentlessly
God.
bully.
It won't work. I feel like Dennis is invulnerable to bullying.
Mm-hmm. Dennis would like. I feel like if you try and he's got like spikes on the outside of him, like metaphorical spikes, where if you try and bully him, you just get stabbed on the spikes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um. All right. Well.
Anything else to say about the chapter?
Hmm, hmm,
Mm.
it's very long.
Yeah, yeah, it is quite long. And I didn't go over like because you like re-see the juice scene again. I feel like there's not a lot of new insight. Like it's just her like she's like, ah ha ha, I'm gonna have to amp this up because she wasn't sad enough.
The heroin wasn't hitting hard enough. I will say
Yeah.
also the juice scene is very brief in this. Like I think it might be.
It was just like the
It's like
post, like when they like look at her when she's covered in juice.
yeah. I mean the amount that it is I think even shorter than the original. And it's more internal. Well, maybe it's equal internal monologue to the amount Taylor has. But anyway. Also,
All
she's
right.
like she wasn't fully aware of her change, but like I think that Taylor literally is fully aware of the change and thinks about how she's changed the way she dresses. So I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, she like thinks that Taylor doesn't have like a good grasp of what's going on internally, which is an interesting take. Like I think she's just like pushing her more and more into this like prey, like she's putting this whole box together of things that she doesn't like and then just like forcing Taylor into it despite like what she actually knows about her.
Yeah. Um, I did want to talk about the arc as a whole. Uh, I know that we've been talking about Emma and the PHO and whatever, but I think this
Hmm.
arc is defined, of course, by Noelle and the fact that at the end of the last arc we just had her interlude. So like throughout the fight and throughout the many, things we learn about Cauldron and things that Tattletale susses out, whatever. Like beyond that, it's like they're killing this person that you have specifically just been like shown the sad tale of. And like we had her other backstory, from arc 17,
Hmm.
but it's just like we're hit again with like her real, cuz seeing her get hurt and stuff and then get the powers and whatever in arc 17 is like one thing, but it's on like a totally other level when we see her actual chapter. And then,
Hmm.
we go right from that to her being like the person that they're actively trying to like murder. And like as much as Taylor says at the start, like, if we don't have to kill her, I don't want to. Like, there is no point in arc 19 where they're not trying to kill her. Taylor doesn't even like
Hmm.
think of that in this arc. Um, I don't know. It's
Yeah, I feel like
hmm.
once they like see Noelle's full abilities, it's like, oh, never mind. Like, let's not worry about ethics right now.
Yeah, this would be a bit much. I mean, they are also like having to mass murder the clones. So like, is it more ethical to try and like just contain her when she's gonna keep producing these people that have to be killed?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then I don't know. They sort of the mirror image, like the evil people, like the evil clone versions. I don't know. I feel like there's stuff in the theming of these chapters of like uh the characters not actually being that far away from their like clone selves per se. Like
Mhm.
when they're fighting the clones, they're able to easily start like mass murdering them. Um, I don't know. There's something there. This is a good arc. Uh,
It's pretty good.
Getting the full body swap with Scapegoat's power. Um, it's really a reset that Taylor's needed for a long time.
Oh my God, yeah. Do you think he fixed any of her concussionness?
Yeah, no, I think he basically gave her a full new body. Like she doesn't have the
Mhm.
arm injury anymore. She doesn't have any of her burns. She probably doesn't have the concussion. Because like we'll see the amount of stuff that Scapegoat's power can affect. It's more like abstract than initially is presented. It can heal more than just like physical wounds. Um,
Mhm.
and so she gets like a full reset basically in a way that perhaps Panacea could have done, but specifically chose not to.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I gotta be real. Amy's such a bitch sometimes.
She didn't want, she couldn't risk making Taylor any more hot. She had to.
She was too into Taylor. She knew that if she kept touching her, she'd feel all kinds of ways.
Yeah, it would get all crazy, dude.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, we can move on to the characters section. I don't feel like there's any like powers, knowledge, and world building hardly. There's like just character stuff.
Yeah, I mean they talk about like um the fact that like normies like Taylor's or like Emma's family are like it's fine. We'll just move back. And I know that the city's being run by villains or whatever, but there's the portal here or whatever. I feel like that's pretty. It's like it's a kind of a big change in the norm where like people are just kind of like fine overlooking the villain thing now because of the portals and like the potential of the city.
Yeah, and like we knew that the Emma family was going to be coming back prior, even if we had forgotten, because in Arc 15,
Mhm.
which is like weeks and weeks ago, we had seen uh, Emma's dad return before the rest of his family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and the fact that he's homies with Brandish, terrible.
Very funny.
Look, I am a
We can
straight
start
up
we can
Carol
start with Emma's
apologist,
dad.
but being friends with Alan, that's pretty low.
Yeah, let's start with Alan. Alan needs to uh, be a parent. Both Alan and his unnamed wife.
Mm-hmm.
They need to get their shit together and realize that they're like adults and need to like take charge of their daughter's situation multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she's hanging out with a deranged vigilante, really bad. The fact that she started bullying her former best friend in school,
Yeah, like it's
really
so
bad.
weird later on when like it's clear that she has done absolutely every horrible thing that Taylor says, and then Alan's all smarmy about it. He's like, "Well, I've got to defend my daughter and do what's best for my family." And it's like, do
Yeah,
you really think that you're doing a good thing by like
yeah.
encouraging this kind of behavior by covering it
And
up? You
and he's
gotta be
obviously so
crazy.
dismissive of it because of the fact that when Emma's like, "Can we drive past Taylor's house?" He just says, "Oh, I thought you weren't going to be friends with her anymore." But it's like, do you is that how you see the situation? Because last time I saw the situation, it was that she was accused of many, many like abusive
Pretty heinous
acts.
crimes.
Yeah, pretty heinous acts, and that you like told her dad that you were just gonna sue him till he ran out of money. Like that's different than like, oh, I thought you guys weren't friends anymore. Like he like takes it
I
all
thought you had a
too
little fight.
casually.
And it's just like,
Yeah,
and like what he had done to Danny to threaten a union man that way,
to financially
absolutely
ruin his
disgusting.
friend.
Yeah,
Yeah, just like a horrible way to like, cause I don't know, if he had been like, okay, we're gonna take this to court, like whatever, that's the implication, but straight up being like, yeah, I'm financially threatening you because I don't think you could handle this.
yeah, and
Um,
that scene, like it always, I go back to that in my mind in whenever I think of like Alan as a character, because I think of like
yeah.
Taylor going, they're threatening us right in front of you, or and then they're like, we can only deal with things that happen in school, and then she yells at them, we're in the school
We are
now,
in school. We're inside the school.
and it's during
Um,
school hours and everything, so it's like,
Vale had said Amy is traumatized and not honest. It's unexpected. He is used to court proceedings. That was just a regular day for him. Yeah, like for him, it's like so no nonsense, just so unimpactful. It's like that scene in White Lotus when the who's the goop lady, you know? When the
yeah,
Gwyneth Paltrow coded character just like rakes into this like up and coming journalist, and then like she's like just absolutely demolishing her and telling her that she's shit and she should like give up on life, and then like 5 minutes later she like goes and sits down to dinner with her family and she's like, oh, that journalist is like a fan of mine.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's like
Oh my
so
god,
nothing to her. And I feel like that's how Alan is. He's like, oh yeah. Like it's just it doesn't even cross his mind anymore that he did that. Um
that
yeah,
character you're
Alan.
referring to, the girl boss character, just
Hmm.
100% is like the aunt that I worked for.
Oh my God, it's such a good character. Um
A lot more fun on
Watch White
TV.
Lotus. Um Yeah, I want him to step up, please. Be an adult. Be a parent, be like a good person. That would all make me very happy. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's like unclear whether he knows that Emma was a witness to the manslaughter. I can only assume that they wouldn't have told him, but she like is very honest with him because there's never any consequences to her actions.
I
So,
can't tell my dumb dad that part. He'll take it the wrong
yeah.
way.
Yeah, it's crazy. Um, that's all I have to say about Alan. Our next, unless you have something, our next contestant is poor Madison.
Does Madison even get mentioned
Uh,
in this whole chapter?
yeah, she gets named like twice.
Oh, probably because of the juice scene.
Yeah, she like they like don't even
All right, let's see
at
here.
first she like doesn't even refer to her as
Madison.
her name. She calls her the third member of their trio. Um, and I just think it's really funny that they don't give two shits about Madison
Yeah,
because it
Madison is
really does.
mentioned one time in the chapter. She smirked as
Yeah,
Madison led the way out of the bathroom.
yeah. It's like the fact that Madison isn't even like in on things with. I mean, Madison knows about Shadowstalker, I believe, because she like goes to events with her and stuff. But she's not even in their emotional inner circle. Like Emma does not think about Madison. And
Yeah,
so
like
it's
the
like
the
depressing
layering
that
of their
Madison is
friend
like,
group is so stratified. It's like there's those two, then Madison on another tier, then Julia, then like some of the other girls below that, but it's like so like such huge gaps between each member.
yeah, yeah. The way that Madison is one of the main bullies, but she's not even like reaping the benefits of being the bully is crazy. Um, oh God.
Man, crazy stuff.
It's she's so
I
depressing.
can't
Should we
yeah.
talk about the ABB as a character? Do you have anything to say about them?
Um it's like interesting that Jan comes back and I think I think it may have been better if they hadn't had a moment where they betray Taylor or something. You know what I mean? Like if the end of arc
Like if
14
she had
stuff,
redeemed, they had redeemed themselves.
like if they worked for Taylor in a very like normal position and they hadn't betrayed her, but like you're sort of seeing like this is the kind of person that Taylor's surrounding herself with, but
Mhm.
like she's not because she,
She got rid of
you
him.
know,
She kicked him out. But I think that it's also it's more like this full circle thing
yeah.
where Emma was victimized by this person and then she used that to like start victimizing Taylor, but then when Jan also tried to victimize Taylor, Taylor just beat the shit out of her.
Taylor grew as a fish and then said, "There's always a bigger fish," and then ate the small fish.
Yeah, like it is, I guess I think it's just supposed to be more ironic or whatever that like Emma had she's like felt so justified in thinking that Taylor wasn't a survivor because because she was mad because she was sad about her mom. It was only a year.
It's like
It's like only it was only a year that she was sad.
the way she confronts her when she's stolen the flute is like so like solid. I don't it doesn't fit her narrative at all. You know what I mean? It doesn't fit Emma's internal narrative, but she just kind of like skips thinking about it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's real bad. Should we talk about I guess the only other two characters are Taylor and Emma. Oh, Sophia. Duh. Sophia. What do we have to say about Sophia? Sophia definitely has killed more people.
Oh, for sure.
Um, I also think that I mean they say manslaughter in this. I feel like they had covered that up to some degree where they said that she had like hospitalized somebody and like that's why
Yeah,
she was
because
in
later,
probationary.
like that's what Tattletale tells the others, as though she believes it. Like she wouldn't hold back on
Mhm.
telling the truth to them about Shadowstalker. It doesn't make sense, you know. Um,
Yeah.
so even she was fooled by whatever like falsified record.
Yeah, and Emma like comes out of the situation thinking that it's probably happened like several times. She she kind of like thinks to herself like you've how many of these villains have you quote unquote dealt with basically, and like
Mm-hmm.
that's probably based off of like just Shadowstalker being like super crazy when she's fighting, but also like maybe how casual she was about the manslaughter that happened, because that
Well,
did
also
it like
about
didn't
like
seem
doing other
intentional.
stuff. Like as bad as the ABB gang member is, and maybe it stops him from victimizing more people. But she does definitely like slash out the only remaining eye of a guy, which
Yeah,
is
she blinds somebody and then like stabbing through somebody's hand, like most likely they're not going to be able to use that hand anymore. Like a lot of maiming.
mhm. I forget
Yeah,
who
that's
had
what.
brought it up, but somebody who I was listening to, like, I don't know, a couple of years ago at this point, who was talking about this story was mentioning that there's like a lot of maiming in this story, and a lot of it comes from Taylor, and it's like a
Mhm.
way to act out and like exert power over other people, and that's like literally the way that Taylor and Sophia both use it. Um, and we see Jan like more or less doing the. I mean, she threatens to do the same thing. It doesn't
Mhm.
follow through. Um, I mean, she would follow through, but
She would have followed through if she
yeah,
let her have the opportunity. God damn it, Sophia.
Sophia's a party pooper. Um,
Sophia she's like, no, I'm the only one allowed to maim.
yeah, yeah. I I wish
Sophia's
we
such a
got.
loser at the end of this chapter.
Yeah, yeah. Um, she's a real edge lord, and she's really like burning all her bridges. But I wish we got a Sophia chapter at some point, because I feel like I don't know. It's not that I mostly like get where Sophia is coming from, but I think it would be like there's a lot there. You know what I mean?
Didn't we get a Sophia chapter? Is that
Oh wait,
chapter
we
where
do
she
in the wards. I kind of feel like it almost feels like
it's
wasted in
not
my
like
mind. It's
super
not.
in her mindset, yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's not like this chapter. I feel like it's less revealing than her own than the Regent's chapter of her. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm lamenting that chapter not being one of these high level chapters, because I feel like we should be afforded an opportunity to see her. Um, I don't know, just like her mindset more, because it. Now that I'm like looking back on it, I feel like it could have been a lot stronger. Just, and I know this was a couple of years later, basically, so, or like maybe a year
Yeah,
and a half
yeah, I
later.
agree. I
But
think
it's
that
just kind of like it's tough looking back on it now that I'm right on the heels of this.
mhm. Yeah, I agree. Vale said, I think her story is just boring. There isn't a trajectory up or down. She is just stuck as she is. That's hard to do anything interesting with.
I
Yeah, I
don't
think I just
know.
like to see her like, and maybe that's the thing, because sometimes like the way that it felt is like she just likes being violent, and maybe there's like nothing deeper than that. Like she is just kind of a sadist.
Well, Taylor had
And likes
suspected
when
that
other
there
people
was
are
a
hurt.
change, because like some people like Rachel have a change in their mindset with
Hmm.
the trauma, etc. So she thinks that there is like both powers and trauma based um, change that Sophia went through at the trigger event
Hmm.
that made her kind of like this, because she didn't have a history of violence before she got her powers. So
Mhm.
It's, I don't know. I just feel like there's more there, and we don't really get it. And I feel like Sophia is a little shortchanged. Um,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. We want to talk about Taylor.
Um,
We got to
Taylor.
see baby
Yeah,
Taylor. We got to see baby Taylor. She was so cute for 2 seconds before she got emotionally obliterated.
yeah. It's funny because like, not that it's like not a normal young teen thing to do, but Taylor's a little more mean spirited about that other girl than I would have
Yeah,
thought.
Taylor's a fucking hater. Okay, this is what I was
She
saying.
thinks
When
she's hot
I
shit.
read Arc 1,
Mhm.
I thought, oh no, Taylor is hashtag not like other girls. And then I was like, after that, I was like, okay, that's not true because Emma, like, it was just the toll that Emma specifically had on her, and she doesn't have problems like getting along or trusting women. But then
But maybe she
listen
do.
to but then you listen to this chapter and you're like, wait a minute, Taylor. She's like
Taylor.
she's like specifically like making fun of somebody because like she wore a bikini. She doesn't say it specifically, but like that's what I was feeling. She was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, haha, it's totally not gonna fit her now." This idiot.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, it was. I'm gonna just read the whole fucking thing. We rode across this lake this morning to this waterfall, only it wasn't exactly a waterfall, more like a water stair, and we were all taking turns sliding and falling down this set of slick rocks. And Elsa, she's this girl wearing a bikini. She's been spending the last 3 days acting like she's hot stuff. She slides down the wrong part and it catches on the strap, right? It doesn't tear off, but it stretches, so it doesn't even fit her anymore. Um,
It's like such a funny, it's like an anticlimactic story because you're like, oh my God, like her bikini's gonna come off. And she's like, haha, no, it's not gonna fit.
and
Who
maybe
who's hot
it's
stuff now?
yeah, maybe it's just like she didn't like her attitude or whatever, but it does come off like, man, there was this hot girl and like I was so embarrassed that I
Yeah, there's this hot girl and something bad happened to her, and it was funny. But yeah, that's what, and I mean, it could be, this annoying girl that's walking around acting like she's hot stuff, but it's just notable that
and she's
Taylor
Elsa,
has,
so they predicted Frozen.
yes, that's exactly what it was. Um, yeah, Taylor, oh my God, Taylor pre Emma trauma. Because that's the thing. Emma's like, "Oh, Taylor's such a loser because she let this affect her so much." And it's like she was literally like pretty much done bouncing back after
Mm-hmm.
this
You
camp.
didn't
Like
bounce
I
back
think that
fast
like this
enough.
I feel like this camp was like some sort of turning point for her, or like maybe it was just a high, like maybe things would have gone downhill again, but I don't know, like Taylor's pretty, like once she like kind of like gets past something, I feel like she's just past it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Vale said, can you imagine if Wildbow threw in a random wardrobe malfunction? Oh, the backlash. Um, I I don't know. And then so we get to see like a Taylor before from Emma's perspective, which is like this chipper, like bubbly, and she comes off as all of m- all of Emma's statements could be interpreted as nice or mean. So
The
there's
other
like
thing is
that
like the
line.
way that she describes like Taylor and her affect and everything is the same way that Taylor describes Madison in the first chapter. It's not like
Yeah, she's like
identical, but it's
cutesy.
like basically the same. Like seems way younger than they are, like dresses in a way that is a little too cutesy and stuff. Like she's just like a less mean Madison. She's like a
Yeah.
not shithead Madison.
Yeah. So we get to see her pre the bullying, and then we get to see her like post the bullying from Emma's perspective, which is when she is getting juiced at school, and she's like become like hunched and insecure, and like doesn't wear like her kid clothes anymore. She just like wears like dark baggy clothes. And then we get to see Post, and now Taylor's cool and wears crop tops. Oh my God. I don't know. I feel like it was such a like cathartic experience, like has getting to see Emma see her
Yeah, no,
and
that was good.
realize that she's doing so good. You're like, oh yeah, fuck you, Emma. Like there's nothing better. What I know there's like a phrase for this, but like there's nothing better than like when like an enemy gets to see them like being successful. Like it has her success has nothing to do with her. It's like totally removed from even the school situation. She's just and I'm talking about like not even considering the powers, like just like
Hmm.
literally her like having friends and like having a pretty good relationship with her dad at this point.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, all of this is a devastating blow to Emma.
Vale said, I suspect Emma was Emma all along, and some of that rubbed off on Taylor and Madison eventually. Yeah, like perhaps Emma specifically likes to like riff on other girls or whatever, so then Taylor will riff on other girls as part of their friendship.
Hmm. Hmm. Um,
Um, Taylor needs to work on being less creepy bug girl. That's the only other thing.
it
The
was
the way she like turns and follows the car.
Yeah, well, the thing is, when she's doing creepy bug girl, sometimes she doesn't follow stuff with her eyes or anything. But in this
Yeah,
case,
so
like
this
she
time
looked
she did
Emma
it
in the
on purpose.
eyes. Yeah,
But I feel like it still comes off as eerie.
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Something about um. hmm. Oh yeah. Well, this is unrelated, but I always think of Madison as the like fourth friend in from Daria, who's in Quinn's friend group. The like one who's always really desperate for approval from Quinn.
Mm.
It's amazing. I love that character.
Uh, Madison is like the Peggy of Hamilton. Just like, and Peggy.
Yeah, yeah.
She's
Well,
just there.
it's funny because like now that I'm thinking about it more, Quinn has like a lot of Emma things going on. She's like a
Uh-huh.
redhead. She's like not nearly as like terribly mean, but she will do like really like awful things without thinking about it sometimes stuff and stuff. But and she lies a lot in ways that are just like purely mean. Uh, but she has like this super toxic dynamic with one of the other girls. They're Sandy, and they're always like tearing each other down through like half compliments and stuff. You know.
Yeah.
I would
I
never dream of wearing that outfit, Quinn. Only you would be able to pull off a look like that.
I was about to talk about Emma's half compliments if we don't have anything else to say about Taylor.
I'll go for it. Yeah.
Everything Emma says, everything Emma says could be nice or mean. It's like she's like crazy. I don't know what's wrong with her. Like the first thing when she's thinking about Taylor, she's like, I'm glad that Taylor's like being her normal self. Because it sucked being around her for the last year. Or she the way that she like refers to Taylor when she's like walking down the street and she says that this is she she looks like she did years ago, way before her mom died. Like she's 9, not 13. Like it's like her beginning thought feels to me like, oh, Taylor looks back to her like her normal self, like
Mm-hmm.
before her mom died. And then she's like a little kid. I feel like I don't know, she's like always tricking
Like a
herself
fucking
with her own
baby.
thoughts.
She's always like
She's like,
finding a way to continue the
make it
status
bad.
quo. She's
Yeah.
like when she's like thinks of like three ways, she's just like, oh, I could like just give the flute back, or like I could just like not do, and then she just keeps doing the thing.
Yeah, the thing with the flute is so crazy because it's like you could have done something mean that wasn't that wasn't as horrible as she picked. Like I could imagine you could put it like up high really far, like tie it onto the flagpole or something. And then the flute's like still she's able to get it back and it still hurt her feelings. But she didn't destroy it. She requested her to wreck it and do something disgusting to it. Like that, I don't know. That's just crazy.
Yeah,
um
yeah.
she's just always like it's like the opposite of pulling her punches. Like she's like not even trying to punch, and then she's like, "Oh, I gotta commit." And then like when she's talking about the feelings that she has, she when she's insulting Taylor and telling her that she wanted to break up with her years ago, which she describes it was surprising how easily the words came, half truths. And that's kind of like how all her stuff is. Like everything she thinks to herself is a half truth, everything she says is a half truth. Like none of it is actually, I feel like none of it's actually the full story or like the full scope of her emotions.
Yeah. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I kept sort of trying to describe it as being like the disconnect between like her mind and her actions, but it's
Mhm.
yeah, that's why I definitely like don't think the powers I came up with were very good. I think that that's kind of her core mindset, not necessarily the specifics of the fight in the alleyway or anything. It's
Yeah,
just like
that's how I had felt
it
is that
exasperated
it's
her main
more
thing.
something else I wanted to comment on is that she was she's having like this cognitive dissonance while she's getting beat up or whatever, and she's like, oh man, like am I really like that shallow, am I really that vain? And then later when she's talking about how much better she is now, she specifically mentions that she's less vain, and like to me that was not how I registered. Like to me it seems like she's leaning into her vanity and like allowing herself to have those thoughts without questioning them or whatever. Also, I'll just say if somebody took my jean jacket, I would also think, "Oh my God, I'm not getting in my jean jacket back." I had
Problem is
I
when
was
they start messing
also
with the Canadian tuxedo.
yeah, I say don't fuck with my Canadian tuxedo, and then I have a hero trigger, you know, where you do something so powerful and heroic that you trigger,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
then I
then you have the power
beat
to
them
like
up to get my Canadian.
indensify any denim. You can make
Oh,
all denim
yes.
into like
Dear
super dense
God.
material, and then so you start wearing denim gloves too, and they kind
Uh-huh.
of look like you know the gloves
I
that
had
Michael
them in
Jackson
denim
wears.
shoes.
They look like that somehow, even though they're denim, because like
Uh-huh.
it just kind of it's
Well, it's my power.
well it's like a manifestation of your corruption as you become a hero at first, but really you go down some dark paths.
Yeah.
And your
Yeah.
hero name is Canadian Tuxedo, despite the fact that you've never lived in Canada.
I don't know. All that is to say, I do like I relate to some, not all of them, because she's kind of a bitch sometimes, but some of the thoughts that she's having, like when she's like getting attacked, because I also like would worry about that. She's like when they're like starting to drag her out of the car, she's like, oh my God, like if they pull me at the wrong angle, then my face is gonna get all cut up. And then she like hits the ground, and then she's like, oh my God, my face. And then they like take her denim jacket, and she's like, oh, that's new. Like it's so I don't know, I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's okay. I would rather that she have stayed her vain self rather than what she did become.
Also, I agree with you that I think she's literally more vain later.
Yeah, I think that she like has this idea that she's like stronger and less vain and like less reliant on other people and this and that. But it's like if this happened to her again, I still think that she would have like still have like a panicked and a scared reaction. Like I don't think that she
I
can.
don't think like anything has changed about her in regards to like this kind of thing. She has no additional skills to deal with it. She has no mental defenses to like be
Yeah,
more
like what are you
coherent.
gonna do? Bully your attacker? That's not gonna help.
Yeah, like she's not gonna hurt their feelings, and if she does, they'll probably just do something worse to her. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
you know,
So it's like, I don't know, there's so much like disconnect from like what she thinks that like the ways that she thinks that she's showing strength versus like what is actually going on.
yeah, yeah. Man, I'm just thinking of like Sophia's the way she interacts with Emma and like the things she compliments her on. It's basically like, "Hey, you did something really fucked up to someone, and I thought it was funny, so I'm gonna hang out with you."
Yeah, Sophia's the more extreme version of Taylor's only laughing when something bad happens.
Oh, I love when Taylor laughs. She's usually like crazed, like she'll
She's like,
take some
I told a
incredible
little
wound and
private
she's
joke
like,
to myself.
"Oh
Yeah,
man!"
and then she
Whenever
does.
people's telling private jokes to themselves, I think of Victoria.
I know, I know. I love when people tell private jokes to themselves. Um, I think that is all I have to say about Emma. Emma sucks. I wish that she had not decided to be insane. Um,
She like weirdly
to like,
reminds me of some of the other capes of like you'll see you'll see Fume Hood from her own perspective like weirdly reminds me of Emma, and she like describes how she just keeps like doing bad things and she just always makes the wrong decision basically.
oh my gosh,
Yeah. Um
Predator and Prey.
well, she doesn't have that mindset, but it's just
No,
kind
I
of
know.
like I don't know. It's the other stuff. Like she's so like weirdly dissociated from herself and her like
Mhm.
current actions, and she'll just do like awful stuff, and then like I think there is a scene in that interlude. It's been a while since I read it, but I think she like spits in someone's face or something. Like she does something
Mhm.
like just horrible without like thinking about it at all, and then
Oh my God.
kind of questions it even like moments later. She's like, "Why did I do that?"
That's better than what Emma would do. I feel like Emma does things and then she goes back and she's like, I did that because Taylor's a loser.
Yeah, yeah,
She like fills it all in.
yeah, yeah.
Um, oh man. Okay, well, I think that's all I have to say about Emma.
Did you want to talk about the powers, knowledge, and world building? You were saying that you had something to say.
No, just that like it's just interesting how like the general public is thinking about Brockton Bay, and it seems like everyone's pretty excited about the portals.
It's
Ooh.
true. Also,
We
I will say, we get the background tidbit of like Dauntless going to Alan's firm for a divorce lawyer. So yeah,
mm,
he feels
mhm.
daunted in his relationship.
Yeah.
But um, I don't think I really have anything else to say. I mean, we see like a court proceeding, but we don't really learn a lot from it.
Yeah, it's just that she lost.
Yeah, it's just kind of a visualization of something that we already knew happened. So,
Hmm.
well, I think we can move to the audience participation question.
Hmm.
So, what would Emma's power be if she had triggered during her interlude? And uh I think how do you want to do this? Read Vale's answer, read my answer, then you answer it?
Oh, yeah, I definitely have an answer.
Yeah. Well, that's why you're going last, because you definitely have one already.
I
Um,
can, you can read one of yours and then I'll read Vale's.
okay. Well, I'm gonna read the one that's less silly first. Then, which is that when she's being pinned down, I thought she could get like a physical displacement power. Like, I kind of thought of like she would fall through the floor, then kind of be a foot or two up, and like kind of then be on top of the pile, then keep being able to like displace out of the way to stop from being grabbed or pinned, and she could keep like
Hmm.
sliding dimensionally out of the way of attacks, and like be slightly elsewhere and just sort of defeat them through unhittability. But
Hmm. Very
it's not a
nice.
super powerful power, but it does some stuff.
Yeah, she would get a loser power. Vale says, Emma triggers. Between the space of one instant and the next, she can see glowing colored thrumming threads pulsing between every person nearby. Blood red threads pulsed from those holding her down to herself, a dull gray from behind her towards everyone in the ABB, and nearly blinding yellow from Emma out to the girl with the knife. It was confusing, but it also wasn't. She had some understanding what she could see. It was intentions. And she could feel the colors, feel the endpoints connecting each other, and her will could affect them. She tried with the red threads. The colors were immutable, and the end points were firm, but she could dull the brightness. She quickly put her will towards this, duller and duller. Her yellow thread quickly followed suit. The gray threads from behind her connected to the ABB. She brightened and managed with little effort to turn it red. Shadowstalker had seen enough. Emma quickly overcame her fear and was now glaring at the ABB around her, and for some reason their body language changed to be far less aggressive in response. This girl was a badass, staring them down like this. She stepped in with blades and arrows from the shadows. Shadowstalker brought Emma to visit the wards, bright steel blue threads connecting them to Shadowstalker, but dull gray in reverse. She dulled those blue threads a bit, and she brightened the green thread from Shadowstalker to Emma. Hi, can you call me Princess? Princess! I'd like to join the wards. She didn't plan to stay with them for long, maybe after she made a couple friends and locked them down to be hers. From her new power vision, escalating purple, nearly ultraviolet threads started to connect from far away. She fought to dull them, a losing battle. Some PRT thinkers would arrive soon. Oh my gosh. That's cool. I do think like an emotion power is a good fit for her because she's crazy.
I think it's the kind of thing that would slide under the radar. I don't think that the thinkers would pick up on it very quickly, if at all.
Yeah.
Because they like often don't catch on to things that are going on. You know what I mean? At
Yeah.
least that's the
Yes,
perspective we
yes, it
see.
makes sense, Bill. I do think that that you can continue writing this, and then you can write like a Shadow Stalker X Emma fanfiction.
Also,
I ship it.
you you want to factor in the fact that it was a while after they met that Shadowstalker had joined the wards. So if Emma was already costuming, then you know.
It's just the future. Phil said Watchdog Protocol. She is listed as a master, undesignated. All right, let's hear your second one, William.
Okay, so the second one, obviously much more likely, when she has to eat the hair, and now she can spew huge amounts of hair out of her mouth at enemies. And when she gets the power, her cut hair heals. She's always able to grow her hair to the right length automatically, in addition to spitting huge volumes of hair at people.
Nasty. I don't like that.
No, 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 nasty, nasty.
No, 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 nasty. I was thinking I really like a breaker power for her. In my opinion, I feel like maybe her trigger could have happened in the weeks after the attack when she's like, I've become just like Taylor.
And
Um,
her power would be to physically resemble Taylor.
Yeah, Vale said she can make her hair look good in any style. I feel like that was a backhanded compliment from Taylor too. I was like, Taylor, don't say that. She's like,
I
you can
thought it
pull
was
off any
very. I
style.
thought it was just fully genuine, very earnest.
I'm sure that it's genuine, but you shouldn't say things like that to people. You shouldn't say like, "Oh, you can pull off anything or whatever," because then it's like drawing attention to the fact that maybe it's different or that you think that it's weird. Um, that's just my humble opinion.
I just think that
But
Taylor was continuing the game plan of chatting up Emma.
I also think like some sort of radius that comes out, like not like a physical radius, but some power that has like a radius that starts at her face specifically. So like depending on how far or close somebody is to her face, like maybe they have more or less of an effect or something like that.
Hmm.
That was kind of what I was thinking for. I'll have to think more about. I think like a breaker thing is like a really good fit for her with her like weird mental state of like
I
always
agree.
rewriting what she's feeling in the moment and kind of
Yeah.
like keeping on top of that.
When we talked about it earlier, and you said you thought she'd have a breaker power, I was basically like, "Damn it, you're right." But I don't want to like just also write the exact same thing. But it's
Yeah.
also really tough to come up with what a breaker power would be like, because like when you think
Yeah.
of the ones we know, they're like I don't
Some of them
know.
aren't that fun. Like, I mean, we know Sophia and she just like turns to darkness and then flies through the air or whatever.
Some of the
Um
examples we have from Ward are like way crazier. Like the woman who can turn herself to like a thing that when you look at it, you can't tell how far away it is, and it just sort of moves
yeah.
toward you, but like in this bizarre, like physics breaky way where it's like just. I think they describe it as just like occupying the space closer to you instead of moving. Um,
hmm Yeah, that's why I'm thinking like a breaker power that like radiates like from her face specifically or something like
hmm.
that, where it's like, I don't know, where maybe like the closer you are to like the closer somebody trying to injure her is to her face, then like the harder it is for them to like move or like the harder it is for them to hurt her or something like that. Um,
I think if she had a
or
power that was like August Prince's power, like that would make
mhm.
sense to me too, where people essentially like in some way can't hurt her. Um,
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think something like that would be good.
uh, gosh, Breaker 4. Emma can change herself into a being of sentient hair. Thank you, Vale.
Mm. She could have oh my God, I almost called her Bakura. Who's that? Who's that lady with the tiny glasses and the
Who's
hair
that
that make her
girl?
clothes?
You
You
mean
know who I mean.
like Edna or whatever from?
Oh, sorry, I mean a not inworm.
Yeah, well, I was asking. Do you mean in The Incredibles?
No, the lady, her hair makes her clothes. She's got tiny
Oh,
glasses.
Bayonetta.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Bayonetta, there we go.
I assumed you meant Edna because I heard makes their clothes and tiny glasses. And she's a tiny woman
Oh.
who makes clothes and has glasses, and she's got like one of
They
those
also said Edna.
personalities.
No,
Yeah,
I think she has Bayonetta powers.
man,
Where her
I
hair is like
love
pacha,
Bayonetta.
pacha. And she also wears Bayonetta glasses. Um, I've and then Taylor goes, "You can pull off any style."
And man, she can. When she gets the short hair in the second game, it's even better than she looked in the first game.
Oh my God. You can pull off any style. It's so funny. Okay, that's all I got. Vale said Edna is retired version. Edna equals Bayonetta, the same person. Yeah.
Bayonetta.
Baya Edna.
Bayonetta.
Bayonetta.
Damn it. Um. So, yeah, that's okay. That's all we got. I think that those were some fun ones. Um, anyone can answer in the comment section of the stream or whatever too. So feel free to do that. Um, but the next question for 20.2 was Taylor too mean to Greg? Question mark?
What would you, how would you, I want to know how you would react to Greg coming up to you like this.
Well, we can talk about it at the time, but I think that's the
Yeah,
answer
yeah,
to the future. We'll talk about it next weekend.
yeah.
So, goodbye, Vale, who's going for dinner, but also goodbye to everyone because we're
Everyone? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
So apparently, apparently somebody new is listening. That it's just being posted about on the Discord. So we will have some new listener catching up and maybe even joining the crowd. Who knows?
Who knows?
But I'm gonna start the outro music. And boop 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 boop. And we're saying hi to these new users, Lillian and Halloween. Spelled with only one L though. I'm totally Discord doxing them. So the music you're hearing, and we'll probably hear next week, is Queen Scourge by ScarlettXOX. And you can find her Twitch page at twitch.tv/Scarlett_Rogue. Our Discord server can be found at the link in the stream description and channel description. The author of the work being discussed can be supported on Patreon at patreon.com/Wildbow. The full text of the work is available for free online at parahumans.wordpress.com. There's also a fan-made audiobook of the entire work at audioworm.rain-online.org. And by the way, if you've only read Worm and you haven't read Ward, you should read Ward.
Get it together. What are you doing?
Get it together.
Idiot.
We have a few seconds here on the outro. Do you have any final words for the people?
Well,
Much as
I
yesterday.
will try to get my other drawings posted because of Halloween in Discord losing their mind right now.
Let me know in the sequence if you ever want me to drop in my bullcrap. Like,
Yeah.
probably right when you've done the 14 ones, I would want to dump in my Arc 14 one. Because
Okay,
it
sounds
like
good.
specifically mirrors yours. Anyway, I'm going to end the stream.